This is Brandon Stubbs from TheTitleFight.com speaking with Seth Mayhem Mitchell, former Michigan State football player, now standout heavyweight contender. We talk about his upcoming bout here on September 6th on Showtime against Chris Arreola, his place within the heavyweight division, and what keeps him so focused and grounded as a fighter and an entertainer here in the spotlight. All right, now you're going to be fighting here on September the 6th against Chris the Nightmare Arreola there at Fantasy Springs. How did this bout all come about? You and Chris fighting at this point in your career.
I think it just fell into place. I know a lot of people, say that we have the same advisor, but it's a fight that I definitely, wanted. I didn't know it was going to happen, right now, but certain things have happened in both of our careers, and I think it's a good fight for both of us, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, given, Chris's style, I don't know how much scouting you guys have been able to do here so early since it's just been announced, but what do you see in his style, that he's going to bring to the fight that you either need to be cautious of or that you can exploit? What about him just kind of says, okay, I got to watch out for this. I know he's going to do this in the ring. What about Chris's style, kind of has you on alert?
He can punch. He has 35 wins and 30 knockouts in his 35 wins. And, I've seen him fight numerous times. He brings a lot of pressure and he lets his hands go. So anytime you have a big willing heavyweight in there that, comes forward, lets his hands go, and he throws good combinations with his punches. So that's always something that you have to, be worried about. And that's what I think he brings to the table. He brings a lot of pressure and he lets his hands go. And anytime in the heavyweight division, that's always, something to, be leery of.
Now, the fight's going to be like 2 hours away from his hometown. Was there any kind of hesitation or, kind of pause on your team or your end on maybe trying to find more of a neutral site instead of, fighting not that far from his background, his backyard, and knowing that he's going to have, a lot of fans that are going to come out and travel and cheer him on?
Not really. His 3 losses that he had have come in California. So, it's just the way that the chips fell. If I had to make it the fight, I wouldn't necessarily say, okay, let's, fight him in his backyard. But, if this is the path that I have to take, this is the path that I have to take. But I'm not worried about it. At the end of the day, it's just going to be him and I in the ring together. No fans. The fans, they can, cheer you on. But, it's just going to be him and I in the ring. And I'm well prepared. And I'm feeling good about the fight.
This is pretty much almost kind of like an American heavyweight eliminator, if you will, because, as we all know, there's not that many names American-wise in the heavyweight division. What do you think you need to do going forward to really help separate yourself and kind of make yourself as being, the flag bearer for the States, as being, our heavyweight representative going forward in the future to become like one of the future champions and one of the true big names in boxing?
Obviously, this is an entertainment sport, entertainment business, and I like to be entertaining. So, I want to, at this stage of my career, I have to win. I have to win, but at the same time, winning and looking impressive winning, definitely helps out a lot. So, I think that's what I have to do. I just have to continue to win, continue to get better, but at the same time, just to get the excitement going in the eyes of the public, I have to win, and I have to win impressively, and that's what I, plan on doing on the 6th. At the same time, I'll take a ugly win and a pretty loss any day, but it's an entertainment business, and I understand that, and so I want to go out there, and I definitely want to look impressive.
It's funny that you said that. That was actually going to be my next question. Here in June, you had your rematch against Jonathan Banks. Both the crowd and the critics, we didn't find it to be the most friendly on the eyes, if you will. But like you said, it was an ugly win, but you'll take it. It's a win. Why didn't we kind of see the same fireworks we saw in the first fight? At least I know on your end, your defense definitely was tightened up. We didn't want the same kind of fireworks, happening to you. But why wasn't it as much action or much back and forth as the fans thought it would be in the rematch, opposed to what it was in the first fight?
I mean, styles make fights, and looking at the first fight, I've always been the bull. I've always been the matador, and always been the bull, and not really have been the matador in any of my fights. And just looking at that fight and watching, learning Jonathan Banks and studying him a little bit more, I noticed that he really doesn't throw a lot of punches, and I felt that he's a great counter puncher, and I felt that my jab was just as good as better or better than him, and if he was going to allow me to, sit out there and win the fight with my jab, because he's such a great counter puncher, and me always being the bull and coming forward, I, didn't want to give him too many opportunities to, do what he's good at, and that's countering, and, that's what I did, and the fact of the matter remains that, when I watched the fight over and over again, it wasn't a barn-burning fight, but it wasn't, it was a technical fight on my part, and I got the W, and that's put me in a position to go out here and fight in another big fight, and so, I'm not mad at my performance. My main objective was to get the win. That was a big fight for my career, and that's what I did. And fact of the matter, it still remains the same. If I didn't go out there and win that fight, we wouldn't be having this interview talking about a Chris Arreola fight right now. So, it's just on to the next one. But styles make fights, and his style just presented, that type of fight. But obviously, this fight, our styles mesh real well.
Absolutely. Now, one thing, a lot of us in boxing definitely see in you is that every time out, we see that you're learning more, you're picking up more. And one thing that I've always heard you say in interviews, you always attest that to your trainer, Andre Hunter. Maybe speak a little bit about that relationship and how he's helped you continue to build and grow as a fighter as time has passed on.
We have a great relationship, great rapport, with each other. We're in this together, and at the same, he'll tell you, out of his own mouth, even though he doesn't talk a lot, but that you have to have the fighter in order, to be a good trainer. You can be a good trainer, but you still have to have a fighter. A fighter has to go out there and do some of the things that you all have worked on, in the gym. And that's a testament to him. He makes it easy for me, how he breaks things down for me, and I just got to go out there and have carryover. In the first fight, he didn't tell me to go out there and lunge, and everybody always talk about, you need a new trainer, you need this, you need that, but he told me the same thing that he told me in the second fight. I just, had more time, and I guess sometimes things just have to happen, for the light switch to come on, and I just implemented those things that he was teaching me, telling me in the second fight. And so, but he's just, he cares about me, as a person. Forget about boxing. Obviously, both of us want to win, and we want to be successful together. But, sometimes we go out and we talk and laugh, and we don't even bring boxing up. So it's just, I don't necessarily, call him my trainer. I will consider him a friend.
All right, right on. Now, we've got a few more quick ones here for you now. Preseason football has started up, and we all know that you play football at the University of Michigan State. Want to make that clear. Michigan State, not Michigan.
I was listening now. Because normally when they say, the university, it's always Michigan that come after. We just say who plays for, Michigan State's father. But it's all good. You pass the test.
Now, with football season coming around, with you used to play, do you ever get that itch to go back out and just, put the pads on and just light someone up around this time of the year? Or does boxing really help kind of fulfill that void that you have from playing on the field?
I think, I'm an athlete at heart. I box, but I'm an athlete. I like to compete. So, I'm in an arena where I still get to compete. So I think boxing has, filled that void. The only thing I miss from football is I miss the team camaraderie. Boxing is a lonely sport, man. Lonely sport. But, football, I've always played team sports growing up, football and basketball. So I miss the team camaraderie. But when I'm watching the game and I see somebody, a linebacker plug that A-hole or feel that hole, it definitely sends chills through my body. And sometimes I wish, I still had that helmet on.
And and another thing, I do want to point out that I've noticed throughout the years, and especially for you coming up and getting put on larger platforms as time has went on, is that you always seem very level-headed, very, very well spoken, just very mindful of your surroundings and what's going on, and the positions you've been put in. What keeps you so level-minded? What keeps you so grounded as an athlete? Because quite honestly, that's rare to see in boxing anymore and in sports in general, period. Someone who's so level-headed, so calm, and kind of knows and has their wits about themselves in the position they've been placed in.
I think that's what it is. Just knowing that everything, excuse me, happens for a reason, and I truly believe no matter how successful you are, no matter what you become, how much you have, you didn't get there by yourself. It was ancestors, it was somebody or someone, you saw something, you heard something, somebody did something for you, or whatever it may be. You didn't get to that point by yourself, and I just think, I just keep that in my mind, and I know that that's, true. I look at, my life situation just growing up, and everything that's happened to me is because of, the mentors and things people that I've had, in my life. So that's just how I stay humble, and I'm just naturally a humble guy. And I don't talk a lot of trash. I just go out there and I just put in work. But I just know that everything that I have or I'm going to achieve, I didn't get it by myself. Somebody has definitely helped me along the way, and I also know that I don't do this for me. I do this for, like, I'm a family. I have a family. I have a wife. I have children. So they look up to me, and I need to be a role model for them. And that's just whenever I do things, how will this affect the people that I care about? And I think if anybody ask themselves that question before they make a decision or whatever. And we're going to make bad choices. We're not always going to do the right thing. I'm not confessing I'm a saint at all because I'm not. But I just try to, do the right thing. And, so far so good.
All right. And the last question is this, man. September the 6th, let the fans know. Speak to the fans directly. Why do they need to tune in to Showtime and watch the Nightmare go against the Mayhem in California? Let the fans know why they need to tune in.
Oh, they definitely need to tune in because hell, you have myself fighting, you have Chris Arreola fighting, and I'm looking at it as like a do-or-die fight for both of us. Boxing is unforgiving. You truly are only as good as your last outing, and it's a big fight. Chris Arreola is just coming off a loss, so I know he's gonna be prepared, and he doesn't want to have back-to-back losses. And I look at it as if, I lose this fight, my win against Jonathan Banks meant nothing. And, I have places that I'm trying to go in this sport, and this fight is only going to put me, real close to where I'm trying to go. So it's going to be a good fight. Styles match. He's going to bring it. I'm going to bring it. We have two big punches, so everybody should definitely tune in. And I will be victorious.
Right, well, right on, Seth. We'll appreciate you taking out time with us here for TheTitleFight.com. Best of luck on the September 6th fight. I'll be tuning in. You always have a home here. If you ever want to speak to us, let us know, man. We'll let you speak to the fans anytime.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
All right, not a problem at all, man. God bless.